According to Nintendo YouTubers, it's over. Nintendo has lost the lawsuit. One of the patents has been thrown out, and Palworld will reign supreme. Pokemon is finished. Okay, obviously not true, but this is really something that I kind of felt that I needed to address because it's a very good example of just how delusional and out of touch the Power World fans actually are. They're really sitting there trying to gaslight you into thinking that Power World is winning. I saw Fratenga even say they straight up won the the lawsuit because of this. Let's just ignore all the other patents that have been accepted. Let's just ignore all the numerous W's Nintendo has taken. Let's just ignore the fact that they just had a major Pokemon related launch, proving that Palworld is not going to long term is not negatively going to impact the franchise at all. This is like a very good example of just how delusional and out of touch the online gaming space actually is. Nintendo's gonna lose, Palworld's gonna come up, and Pikachu will be sucking dicks in the alleys in Tokyo before the end of the week. Like, this is just completely ridiculous, okay? And more people are starting to notice and point this out, and it does need to be said, like, every single time that Palworld fans think they have a W, we need to, go ahead and slap them down, because one patent getting rejected is not going to implicate Nintendo in any wrongdoing, okay? This is not going to magically stop the lawsuit. This is not some major W for Palworld because all of the other patents have been accepted. And this is something that I think a lot of people are struggling with, that Palworld is not in a position where they can possibly win. They are finished. They don't even have a consistent revenue stream for Palworld. Okay, because if they were to try to throw in microtransactions or battle passes or whatever, uh people would just reject it. Right now, Pal Farm, when I looked at it, it had 500,000 views on YouTube, the announcement trailer for that. This is not a company that's on the verge of some huge monumental success story. It's a company that's just on very thin ice, one that's proceeding through this lawsuit with no real idea of what they're doing. It's like the Pokemon equivalent of the Vic Mignogna case, when you have Nick Rekieta coming on every day and he's just like, "Oh, we're totally gonna win, guys. I have my buddy from Texas working on it, and he's gonna," and then he just fucks up in the most glamorous way possible. Notarization. What? Completely incompetent, bamboozled, retardation from a trust fund kid who's never had to practice law. That is the same kind of mentality we are seeing with the Power World case right now. Okay. The idea that people have that Power World's easily going to win and that Nintendo's going to be embarrassed and that Power World is going to compete with Pokemon, it's just not going to go anywhere. It's not something that is ever going to happen. And it really does need to be addressed more, honestly, that these guys are just they have completely warped expectations as to what this lawsuit is going to look like. Because even in the hypothetical scenario, Power World wins and doesn't need to shut down Power World, they're not going to compete with Pokemon long term because they don't have any good ideas. They don't have any momentum. They can't create an original brand. I think a lot of people are going to have more of an appreciation as to how much work actually goes into Pokemon. Okay, seeing Power World just kind of bungle around. Again, Power World isn't even finished. It's never even left early access. So we're supposed to believe that Power World is going to be this major culturally defining, new game when it's old now, nobody cares about it, nobody plays it anymore, and it only gets talked about in regards to the Pokemon thing. And for this most recent Pokemon release, nobody was even talking about Power World. They were trying to hype up Digimon instead. So it's you can't just keep jumping from brand to brand to brand. You can't go from Temtem to Dragon Quest Monsters to Shin Megami Tensei to Digimon to Power World, and then try and imply that all of that is better than Pokemon, because none of that is true, clearly. But it's something that the community is very desperate to push on to people. The idea that Pokemon is some that perpetually declining brand. Like Pokemania has been over since the 90s. Like South Park made an episode about how Pokemon was like some brand doomed to fail, and that's obviously retarded. Like Matt and Trey, like South Park fell off before Pokemon did, and yet we're supposed to believe that that Palworld is going to demolish Pokemon. That a patent getting thrown out in Japan after a bunch of patents were approved in America after a lot of people said they wouldn't be. Like, it really just goes to show you just how desperate the Pal Bros are to push this narrative that this lawsuit is going their way. It isn't. Like, there's no real winning condition here, and I don't think that the vast majority of law tubers, I think the Uncivil Law guide like hypes up Power World a lot. Um, I don't think PC gamers will accept it, right? These guys are just completely out of touch with reality and have no idea how any of this actually works. It is unbelievable seeing just how many people are like just throwing everything they have at Palworld, and we all saw what happened when they did this with against Pokemon Legends EA. It became a bestseller, and now it just remains to be seen like how the courts are going to react to this. It's very possible that the situation is quite a bit worse than Palworld than what we've been led to believe, considering just how slanted game journos are in this lawsuit, how they know very, very well that the vast interest in this lawsuit is coming from Palworld fans who want to fuck over Nintendo. Like, of course, they're going to release statements like this. Of course, journos from the West are going to release these statements about how Palworld has just had an epic win against Nintendo in court and how they're totally fucked, and it's just not going to happen. There's just no possible way for Palworld to beat Pokemon long term. Like, even with this lawsuit, right? Even if the lawsuit ends in their favor or ends favorably, like, they are not going to be in a position where they can develop new games or produce new software because no one's going to care. The only reason this game got any momentum at all was because of the blatant Pokemon plagiarism. And that's what this entire issue is about, is the obvious copy and paste of the mechanics and the character models into their own game. And that's something that Nintendo is demonstrating with their lawsuit using the patents. And it's not really something that I think any reasonable person would deny, honestly. But that's the issue, isn't it? Is that we're not dealing with reasonable people. We are dealing with fanboys. We are dealing with people trying to push an agenda. We are dealing with the very worst of the PC master race. We are dealing with absolute scum who need to be called out for what they've done. Like, this is just a very transparent example of just how corrupt gaming media and YouTubers are against Nintendo, and how they will desperately try and push this narrative until it finally unceremoniously comes to a close. We saw it happen with Yokai Watch. We saw it happen with Temtem. We saw it happen with this. Palworld wasn't even a blip on Game Freak's radar. This was just another Pokemon killer that failed to live up to the hype.